So we are excited to have Trevor Maunder. I met you, Trevor, in Toronto almost 3 years ago. Um, and we've seen you in mini Zoom since then. So welcome your thoughts on 2020 and 2021.
Probably a couple in person, including a great conference, I believe in November 2018, where we all got snowed in for the night.
It's true.
Had quite a memorable evening that night together. Actually, a blessing in disguise and a great way to meet a lot of people who we probably wouldn't have got to spend the time with, including an extra night. But my name's Trevor Maunder. I'm the CEO of Peerage Capital. It is the family office for Miles Nadell. My job is really to oversee both our private investing, our securities portfolio, and everything else that goes along with the family office. The securities portfolio is the easiest part because it's outsourced to our firm in New York City, ARS. We have a handful of large private initiatives of which we either own or control, primarily in real estate services, real estate and asset management. And so looking towards what happened in 2020, I would say that I believe Warren Buffett is ultimately the one who owns the quote, "It's not how lucky you are, it's knowing how lucky you are." And so I think we made one big mistake in 2020. And I would say that our hunch was that we should be aggressive and we should invest and we should take the opportunity, especially when things got really bad in March and April. But I would say this is one of those classic cases where the analytics were telling us, don't do that. Hold on. Let's see what happens. Revenue could be zero for the next 2 to 3 months. Revenue could be zero for the next 2 to 3 quarters, which we modeled out. We said, okay, well, we'll be fine if revenue is zero for the next 2 to 3 quarters. It won't be zero, but even if it's only 10%, 20%, 30%, we will be fine. Why don't we go be aggressive? But we decided to sit back, work with our businesses. I think it's been a wonderful experience spending a ton of more time with our businesses, learning them to the 110th degree. And I think our businesses truly enjoyed that. But I do believe we missed a small window of opportunity to do some deals that we really would have liked to have done. And so looking forward to 2021, I have a bit of I would say, false optimism. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but I don't think we should get so optimistic so quickly. I don't believe the surge in economic activity is coming probably till at least 2022, maybe even 2023. I think there's going to be an incredible boom, and we are preparing for that incredible boom. But we're preparing as if that's going to be a tough road to get there. And so our viewpoint would be that it's not one trigger. So the vaccine is great. 40 or 50% of people aren't going to take it. And it's going to take a long time to distribute it, especially due to the nature of it. I have some very concerning views about how that vaccine will be distributed globally. So I do believe America will vaccinate itself very quickly. I think Canada, some other first world nations. But what happens when you go to start doing trade with other places? You no longer, especially a service industry, and I don't think Italy's not going to vaccinate, but it relies heavily on tourism. What happens when they're not vaccinating or can't get the vaccine until the fall and people start going there? And the other thing that we don't really know, are people still going to get sick? And it's only going to take one or two pieces of information, even how good that information is, to trigger a panic again. And so I think we're going to be a while before we're through all this mud. I think that, coupled with the fact that, we've still got government issues, I think there's no doubt in America it's getting closer and closer to genuine civil unrest. And so, it's December 11th or 12th today, and we still don't even know truly who's won the election from a legal perspective. You have states suing each other. It's not good. And it's not going to provide the stable environment that I think a lot of people akin it to going to war. We didn't treat this issue or this crisis like going to war. America has shown an unbelievable ability to come together and fight off enemies, but it didn't do it here. It didn't treat this like an enemy, and it's bifurcating the country even further. And so, and I know Canada thinks, oh, we're all smug and whatnot, but we've got the same issues going. They're just like always, they're not just quite as big on the ends. Like the
Mhm.
margins aren't quite as excited. But so that's what I believe. But we are very bullish on business and continuing to drive forward because of these issues and because the vaccine is coming. We do see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a 4-year window to get a vaccine, which is what I think people were afraid of. But I do believe, and a lot of people say, we may have herd immunity before we have everybody vaccinated.
I know you've got a hard stop, Trevor, but could you at least touch on philanthropy or philanthropic focus for you and
Yeah, Miles's big focus has always been a couple of things. One has always been Israel, and Israel in a number of different ways, including the venture world. We're big supporters of the venture society over there. Always been a big healthcare uh, philanthropy, and the heart centers continue to do amazing things. And we're going to be probably announcing shortly a new partnership in another area of healthcare with another hospital with some initiatives that his family's been working on. And then I'd say one other big thing, amongst a ton of other things we do, is we really are trying to focus on our local community. So our office happens to be in what I would consider to be, Toronto's a lovely city, but an area that has been beaten up a little bit by the city. And so we continue to support that community, and we'll support that community. It's actually really a shame because of COVID, because we actually would have had 2 or 3 people in our office there every day at the shelters, whatnot, helping all through December and into early January. But this year we're not really allowed to. So
what part of Toronto is that?
it's Scarborough. So
Scarborough.
we try to work into the heart of Scarborough.
And then finally, your asks. How can we help Trevor, Miles, otherwise?
One thing we love is perspective. Like we spend every day looking for people to provide us perspective, and that's certainly one thing we really appreciated. And I know that we can't do every one of the sessions and every call. I love the one yesterday. I had to leave about probably 10 minutes before he was done, but I really loved it. It really talked a lot about what we're trying to do as a business. We are in businesses, if you want to say, from, you know, we're probably in what we would call red ocean businesses, and we need to find the blue ocean for them. And so I really liked the way he talked. It reminded me a lot about Sergio Zeman with the new Coke. He used to say Coke is, I don't know the exact numbers, but 30% of the market share. But we'll cannibalize it through Diet Coke and other products, because when we're done, we'll have 50% of the market share, even though Coke will only have 20%. And yes, maybe new Coke wasn't the best thing, but thinking that way about how do you
Yeah.
expand your business and not just rely on the cash cows, because the cash cows eventually go away.
And so Trevor's talking about Rashad Tabakawala, and one thing I liked, he said, "The paranoid don't survive; it's the schizophrenic."
Yeah, I
Uh,
like that. We actually use that expression all the time, and we always say the paranoid don't survive, and then we say, but really the paranoid are just paranoid. And so, uh,
well, I know that paranoid is probably not your word for 2021, but how would you describe your word or combo word?
I can't even remember which word I wrote.
Well, I remember from the survey. I've got it here. Um,
Probably pessimistically optimistic, or
Well, yes, it was a variation of that. Where are you here, Trevor? It was overstated optimism.
yes, I'm worried that people think because this vaccine
Yeah.
is coming, we have numbers right now and our ratios, and I'm not a scientist, but I am a bit of a mathematician. This is just not going away for a long, long time, and so we can vaccinate all we want, but there's a better chance that at the end of the year we'll have somewhat of a herd immunity.
Hmm.
And I just hope we don't lose too much along the way. Like on the other side, it'll be great. I believe new business applications are up 65, 70% in America. So America will persevere. I believe that. It's done it every other time, but it's delicate right now. So we could be into some darker hours, at least till we get there.
Thank you, Trevor. I